I'm taking Esther to her new home. Spark plugs are all sooted up, leaking coolant quite badly. Now, what idiot fits one of these water pumps with sealer when they have an O-ring?
Actually made it onto the official flyer as well.
What I'm up to today is actually 4 weeks overdue, because today I'm taking Esther to her new home. But don't worry, I haven't sold her, or not yet anyway, and even if I did, I wouldn't be selling her in one lump, because these old banger Ford Escorts are worth so much more in bits. I just need to get this thing out of my way temporarily so that I can arrange getting out of these garages round here and ultimately move everything a bit closer to home. Got to send a huge thanks to my friend who is going to be temporarily storing Esther for me. He would like to remain anonymous, but you know who you are if you're watching. But yeah, really excited to take Esther for the first drive in 2025, even if it is going to be the last one for a little while. But before I do take this thing on its drive, there's a couple of things I need to do. If you're wondering what's going on with Heidi at the moment and wondering why she's jacked up in the air with her rear axle removed again, well, I'm actually partway through filming another video, but yeah, definitely need to get this thing back on all fours soon so that she's able to be taken to a garage closer to home as well. Anyway, back to Esther. If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that recently I had to replace a starter motor, and a little bit before that, I had issues with her battery being flat, and as a result of all that, I think her spark plugs are all sooted up. So I want to throw a new set of spark plugs in whilst I'm around here. I usually use genuine Ford plugs, but these are NGK ones, and 3 out of the 4 of them are brand new, so they should be fine. Another thing I want to do is fit this, I can't say new, it's a used water pump, because the water pump that's currently fitted is leaking coolant quite badly. Now, I'm not actually sure if the coolant is coming from between the water pump and the water pump housing, or whether it's coming from the water pump housing where it meets the block. But if I chuck this water pump in and then drive Esther to her temporary new home, I'll be able to tell. My beautiful girlfriend Kat is patiently waiting around here because she's going to need to give me a lift back from where we're taking Esther. But yeah, time for me to dive into changing these bits, and then we can hit the road. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to what is going to be a 70-mile rip in my favourite car. The water pump is spun by the auxiliary belt, which is driven by the crank. So the first job is to loosen this nut and bolt on the tensioner pulley, then I can push the pulley down and remove the belt from the engine. Next, I removed the water pump pulley, then I loosened the big bolt on the tensioner bracket, removed the smaller bolt, which meant I could move the bracket out of the way before removing the water pump itself. Looks like this has been put in with sealer. Now, what idiot fits one of these water pumps with sealer when they have an O-ring? Yeah, that probably means that it was coming from here, and this one does have its O-ring, so hopefully this won't leak. Fitting the other pump was the reversal of the removal procedure, and I tensioned the belt to give me 180 degrees of twist. And then I set about removing the sooted up old spark plugs and replacing them with the fresh ones. Once the HT leads were hooked back up, I chucked some water in the rad and fired Esther into life.
I know I say it every time, but I absolutely love getting behind the wheel of this thing, especially when I haven't driven it for a while. Oh, I love this car. When I first started driving it, it felt like I had a severely warped brake disc or something. Now, I do suspect that the brake discs on this car are a bit warped. They've always felt, you know, a little bit of a wiggle in the steering wheel under braking. But yeah, it just felt like worse than I remember, but now it doesn't. It's back to how I remember it being. So I don't know whether there was a bit of debris on the brake disc or something. I don't think sort of a partially seized caliper could cause the same symptoms, you know, wobbling in the steering, under braking. So I don't know, but yeah, it's a lot better now. It's exactly how I remember it. But yeah, I absolutely love driving this car. I love how much power it's got. You know, it's not as fast as a lot of cars out there, but it's enough to have fun, even on motorways and stuff when you want to give it a bit of a boot. So yeah, really happy to be behind the wheel of this thing. It is a shame that I am now tucking it away for a bit. However, potentially, if my plans go to plan, which they often don't, this will actually only be tucked away for about 5 weeks, because this year, the same as last year, I've been invited by the organisers of Petrolheadonism Underground in Wembley to attend that event and display my car. Massive shout out to Chiro and the rest of the Petrolheadonism crew if you're watching this video. But yeah, this year my ugly mug actually made it onto the official flyer as well. So yeah, that's really cool to be on a flyer with some really big names in the automotive YouTube world. Yeah, little old me getting on an official flyer. Who would have thunk it? So yeah, really looking forward to that event. So potentially in 5 weeks time, at the end of March, I'll be collecting this car from its temporary new home to take it to that event. And yeah, after that event, I then plan to rip this thing apart to tackle a few jobs that I've already mentioned on the channel. Yeah, annoyingly we've got a bit of traffic, so we can't make any noise at the moment. But back to Petrolheadonism Underground. If you are planning to attend and you see me there, definitely come and say hello. If you're not planning to attend, then you definitely should, especially if you live anywhere near Wembley. It's an awesome event. It's got a wide range of cars, right from old banger Ford Escorts like this, all the way up to super rare supercars and hypercars. And yeah, it was just an awesome event last year. The atmosphere is just really positive, and yeah, it's a whole weekend event. So it really is cool. I mean, even at the end of the event, when everyone's leaving, it just seems like Wembley just gets taken over by cool cars. You know, you get people waiting outside to film the drive-bys and stuff. So yeah, what the Petrolheadonism crew have done with Petrolheadonism Underground in Wembley is, yeah, it's just awesome, and I can't wait.
Hello, it's been just over a week since I dropped Esther off to her temporary new home. It was awesome to get behind the wheel of her again, and I'm very much looking forward to the fun we're going to be having in the summer. Annoyingly, I forgot to check her radiator when I got to my mate's workshop, so I don't know whether fitting that other water pump has solved the leak, but my friend hasn't moaned about there being any coolant on his workshop floor, so fingers crossed we have solved the leak. But yeah, Esther's engine's going to be coming out shortly after I get her back from my friend's workshop anyway. So yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Now, since I dropped Esther off to her temporary new home, I've been super busy. For those of you that haven't seen the last couple of videos, I have ripped Maud, my Mk2 Escort, apart, and she is now on eBay. So if you missed the video before last where I ripped her apart, definitely go and check that out. And if you missed the last video where I had a detailed walk around the car, then definitely go and check that out, especially if you're in the market for a Maud or Mk2 Escort shell, because Maud is now on eBay, and judging by the bids that have been coming in, yeah, it looks like she's going to be living to tell another story with a new owner. Now, in other news, I have been messing about with a load of bits here at home for Heidi, and I'll bring you up to speed with all of that in a minute. But first, I want to try and save something that I potentially ruined in a recent video. All right, excuse the very busy coffee table, but this office/warehouse of mine also doubles up as our living room. Anyway, what I've got over here is the fully restored pedal box that I recently removed from Maud, and this will be going in Heidi. And I'm just so chuffed with how this thing came out. I decided to zinc plate the brake and clutch pedal as well as the throttle pedal. Originally these would have been black, but you know, it's just to make it a bit different. And yeah, check out all the zinc plated clips and springs and that sort of thing. But I messed up with this because I ruined one of the studs. You'll see we've only got one stud in there, and there should be another one there. And what I was able to find on the internet, which is the closest thing that I'm able to get to those original studs, are these self-clink chin bolts, I think they're called. Yeah, I got these from Amazon. I had to wait a while for them to come as well, so I think they came from our Oriental friends.
China!
But, yeah, I'm hoping that these are going to do the job. I've already lined one up and it's definitely the right size for the hole. You know, these sort of grippy bits on it are the right size for the hole in the pedal box, but these grippy bits, there's not as much of it as the normal stud. So I think one of these is going to be way more prone to spinning than the other studs were. So yeah, I think I'm going to tap it in rather than trying to draw it in with a nut. Alright, well it has worked, but it hasn't. It wobbles. Yeah, there's just not enough meat on these teeth to bite into the metal. These would be alright if they were in like a really thin bit of tin. But yeah, for this, I don't think it's going to work. That stud is just moving. So I think the way to do this properly, really, is to put a blob of weld behind there, or a blob of araldite. Alright, so seeing as the welder was actually in my shed, I just decided to chuck a couple of welds on the back of that stud. I didn't even change the settings on the welder, and the last thing I did with that welder was experiment in welding really thick metal. So yeah, the settings aren't right at all. But while we're on the subject of pedal boxes, I've bought another pedal box. And as you can see, it is in a right state. One thing that's really interesting about this is it's had a bracket welded on it in the past. And this would have been to attach a padlock as a security measure. So, you know, you could lock the car and prevent someone putting it in gear, essentially. But what I plan to do with this pedal box is the same as what I've done to this one. I'm going to strip this apart. I'm going to get all the clips and springs and stuff zinc plated, give the brake and clutch pedals a paint up as well as the pedal box itself, get the accelerator pedal zinc plated, of course, with all the other bits, and then I'm going to throw this back together and chuck it on eBay and see how much I can get for it. But yeah, this will be an experiment. I didn't want to just go and buy all the tatty pedal boxes that I see on eBay and then get lumbered with a load that I can't sell. I'm just going to restore this one and try and sell it. I've still got to sell the one that's currently fitted to Heidi, of course. And yeah, just do one at a time and see what happens. However, I need to be a bit more careful when I'm selecting the pedal boxes to buy on eBay, because this pedal box has got both of the studs missing. So I'll have to see about welding two of these in when the time comes. I'll probably have to weld them in before I paint the pedal box and just mask them up. And obviously I will do a way better job on this if I'm going to sell it than what I did on my pedal box. Also, annoyingly, this one doesn't have the spring for the brake pedal, but you can buy those for not very expensive online. This one still needs the rubbers for the brake and clutch pedal, which you can still buy online. But yeah, other than that, it seems to be complete. But I'm definitely going to ask my good friend Dale to help me with this, because he's got a sandblasting cabinet in his shed, in his garden, and these pedals are quite rusty. So I think he'll be able to do a way better job of getting this rust off than I'll be able to with a wire brush on a drill and a DA sander. Obviously need to cut this bracket off as well and smooth those welds down before I give it to him. But I'm pretty sure I'll be able to make this look half decent, and I'll show you when I've finished. But while we're on the subject of my good friend Dale, I've actually got some other bits here that he sandblasted for me the other day and gave back to me yesterday. So in this box I've got another handbrake rod. This is the one that came off of Maud, and I think I'm going to use this one because it's got a little chunk out of it there, This is actually less pitted than the one that I painted up before, so it's kind of in better nick anyway. But this one, I sort of bent it at one stage to clear one of Maud's previous exhausts, and yeah, that might be what's going on there. But yeah, I'll paint this one up, use this for Heidi, and I'll sell the other one that I've already painted up. I've got another pair of bumper brackets. These were in way worse shape than these ones down here that I've already painted up. So I've decided to sell these decent ones, and I'll just paint these ones up for Heidi. As I say, she's just a drift toy. These will be absolutely fine when they're painted up. And then I've also got the base plates that I removed from Maud recently. Again, you know, these are quite badly pitted, but they're fine for an all-weather car. And then I've got the rear bumper brackets. One, of course, has the stud missing. So this one might have to just be nut and bolted on the car, but that's absolutely fine. All right, into my spare room, and I've got parts everywhere as usual. Bits up there, and bits on the windowsill. Leaf springs down there, and yeah, I'm in the process of painting a ton of bits for Heidi, and I've been using some materials from my good friends at Bodycraft in Watford. I will leave a link to their website in the description. If you need any paint, equipment or materials, definitely get in touch with Bodycraft, and don't forget to use discount code MH10 to get 10% off of everything. They're based in Watford, but if you're not in Watford, don't worry, you can order stuff from their website and they will deliver it to you. First, let me show you this fuel tank. The lighting is so annoying in here. It's either too shadowy or too bright. But yeah, this was stripped pretty much back to bare metal, and I smoothed the metal off as best I could with a DA sander. Then I gave it a coat of the Bodycraft etch primer, and once that had dried, I gave it a couple of coats of the Bodycraft satin black. Now, it's not perfect. I did end up getting a couple of runs, which are very minimal, and I was tempted to sand this down and give it another coat, but I don't think I'm going to bother. The satin black actually does sort of hide the defects a bit, and this tank has got a few little dings in it anyway. But yeah, I took the level indicator float thing out, and it's actually in really good shape. It's in this bag, way less rusty than the one that I've got fitted in Heidi's tank. So yeah, I've kept that protected and clean, and yeah, I can fit that back into the tank. And then the overflow pipe that goes down the side and all the clips and stuff, they're at the zinc platers at the minute. So yeah, once I chuck this back together with all the bling bits on it, I'll throw this on eBay, and yeah, that'll be some more funds into the kitty. But yeah, other than that, I've got a ton of other bits which I haven't yet painted black, but yeah, it's all mainly prepped. So down here I've got the decambered leaf springs that I recently removed from Maud, and once I'd removed the poly bushes and the spring shackles, I hit these roughly with a wire brush on a drill. I didn't go mad at all. I just removed the loose rust and then gave them a coat of the Bodycraft etch primer, and that's all dry now, so these are ready for some gloss black. And yeah, with these bits that are going underneath Heidi, I'm not going to go mad at all. I think with the leaf springs, I don't want to put a thick layer of paint on because I don't want to risk it cracking, like when the leaf springs are sort of bending in use. So yeah, I'll give these a couple of thin coats of gloss black and they'll look good for a while at least. The spring shackles themselves, although they've got a few little scabs on them, they're not bad enough for me to want to bother stripping them and repainting them, so they'll go again as they are. Yeah, over here on the windowsill, I've got the handles that I removed from Maud. These were chrome. They came on Maud when I bought her, and years ago I just keyed up the chrome as best I could, gave them a coat of primer and a coat of satin black, but inevitably, you know, when you paint on top of chrome, it just starts chipping off, so these needed a freshen up, and a couple of them are basically bare metaled fully. Yeah, this one, and then a couple of them I tried to get away with just smoothing out the bits where the paint had chipped off, and then carefully dusting on the etch primer, you know, hoping for no reactions, and it looks like I've got away with it. Did just notice a bit of a dodgy bit on this one, but yeah, I don't want to fuss too much with the parts that are going on Heidi. The whole point of that car is, yes, you know, to make her look a bit nicer than Maud was, but, you know, she is going to get abused. So I'm trying to draw the line somewhere, you know, and not make everything absolutely perfect, but I'm sure they'll look more than presentable once I've painted those satin black. Here's the other handbrake rod I was on about. As I say, going to sell this one now and just use the other one. But over here, got another few bits that are going to be painted satin black. Got the windscreen wipers, the little plate that goes in the bulkhead where the heater pipes come through, diff bump stop over here, and then over here I've got the wing mirrors. Now these did actually react, the etch primer reacted, because you're only supposed to put etch primer on bare metal, but where I wasn't fully bare metal in these parts because I'm trying to draw a line somewhere, then inevitably, you know, the bits of black paint that's still on there end up getting hit with the etch primer, and that's where the reactions occurred. So today I've had to carefully smooth away the primer that has reacted. Yeah, there might be a little couple of bits that have gone back to bare metal, but yeah, hopefully when I put the satin black on, that won't react, and yeah, they'll look more than presentable once they're all painted. Oh, down here I've also got Maud's boot lock, and also I've got this broken handbrake. This doesn't have a button on it, so it's kind of a ghetto fly off handbrake. I think I should probably drill that rivet out there and get rid of this bit completely, because every now and again it would lock on and then you'd lift it up and then it'd go down again. Not actually sure if I'm even going to use this on the car, because I do have a hydro handbrake that was very kindly given to me by my good friend Gary Ball, who supplies all my carbon fibre. I'll leave his links in the description for anyone who wants any carbon. Yeah, it was either him or his friend that was at his workshop that day that gave me a hydro handbrake. So yeah, just a ton of bits that I need to paint satin black, which will be going on Heidi. Although the bits that Dale sandblasted for me and these leaf springs, I'm going to do gloss black because they're under the car. So I think gloss black will potentially be a bit of a better weather barrier, you could say. And in fact, I think the base plates and the bumper brackets I might even hit with some lacquer after the gloss black as well. Alright, so after an absolute mission yesterday, running in and out of this spare room after each coat on each of the parts, yeah, we've just got a ton of bits painted for Heidi, and they all look at least satisfactory. Couple of issues I did have. One of these front door handles, I actually forgot to mask out the lock, so I've had to just scrape the black paint off with a Stanley blade. Yeah, probably need to carefully sand it with some sandpaper to finish that off, but that's absolutely fine. The two handles, actually, I think this is one of them, where I didn't fully bare metal them. You can definitely see where the old paint is still under there, but yeah, they look better than they did. They're absolutely fine for what is essentially going to be a daily / drift car. One of these wing mirrors, this one, you can sort of see a bit of a mark in it, and I actually sanded this down and repainted it to try and get rid of that mark, and when I repainted it, I dropped this on the floor outside, so then had to wait for the paint to dry again, then brush all the stones off it, sand it down again, and then repaint it, but it does still have that mark in it. But I'm not redoing it again, it's absolutely fine, looks more than respectable. We've got the two handbrake rods over here now. I'm going to use this one with the notch out of it, and I'll chuck this one on eBay. And yeah, all the other bits came out okay. I mean, these brackets, because they were really pitted, they don't look great, but you know, they'll hold the bumpers on, that's what they're for. The base plates, yeah, they're fine. They'll eventually go orange under the car anyway, but yeah, they look good for now. And yeah, the wipers came out pretty good. And then this washer bottle bracket, this was in really bad shape. I actually had a better one of these, which I decided to sell once I knew that Heidi wasn't going to be much of a show car anymore. And then my ropey ghetto fly off handbrake. Yeah, normally I paint these sort of two-tone, so I'll do these bits silver, this bit and this bit, and then I mask out the rivets as well to keep them silver, and then do the rest black. But seeing as this is a broken ghetto fly off handbrake, I just decided to key it up and black the whole thing. So yeah, that's good enough. Down here I've got the leaf springs, which have been painted gloss black, of course. Still need to put the bushes back in them. They're in the bag there. I need to clean them up and I'll re-grease them when I put them back into the leaf springs. And I've got the shackles here, which I decided not to bother painting because they're not in that bad condition, really. So, yeah, really glad that I managed to get all these bits painted. You know, it's all stuff that I now won't have to do in the future. And yeah, once Heidi's body shell's painted, I've now got a ton of bits to bolt to her. And yeah, looking forward to getting to that stage of the project, although that's still quite a way away. In other news, I've now dismantled this other pedal box that I'm going to restore. Came apart absolutely fine. One of these bushes that goes in the pedals did break off a little bit, but this is actually still usable. So what I might do is just nick one out of this pedal box and put this one in there, because this one's going to be used by me. That'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, got all the other bits in there that aren't metal and won't get zinc plated. And then into my living room, I've got this clutch pedal. I'm going to take this to my other garage when I go over there, probably tomorrow, and I'll cut this bracket off, and then I can see about getting this stripped and painted. And then all the bits from that pedal box that are going to go to the zinc platers are in amongst this huge batch of stuff that I've already got to go there. Obviously going to send this accelerator pedal as well, and got this wheel brace that my good friend Dale wants me to get done as well. So yeah, probably going to go over to the other garages tomorrow, and fingers crossed I get a call from the platers so I can go and see them, pick up the batch of stuff they've already got and drop off those other bits. And whilst I'm over at the other garages tomorrow, I'm hoping to put Heidi back together and get her rolling again. And then I'm probably going to dive into continuing with getting all my stuff ready in those garages, ready to move over to another garage around here. But yeah, just wanted to put this segment at the end of the video where I was taking Esther to her temporary new home, just to show you what I've been up to here at home with getting bits painted up and stuff. But I know this segment here at home ended up being a bit extensive, but there you go. That's just how my life is. I'm always busy. I'm always up to loads of stuff, and I'm just really grateful that loads of you do tune in to see what I do get up to. But for now, I am going to end this video here. Massive thanks, as always, to everyone who's tuned in. Do give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check the links in the description to follow me elsewhere on the internet. I'll leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me, as usual. Huge thanks, as always, to my patrons for your ongoing support. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.